Hello, I am Hattie Hasan from Stopcox Group Limited. I'm the founder of the WIT event, which is happening on the 4th of July for tradeswomen. That's the Women in Stores Together, happening on the 4th of July in London. There'll be a link at the end of the video to get a ticket. Now, it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you today Elisa Paratore from Mira. She's the Senior Marketing Manager, and she's a very thankfully agreed to chat to me this morning. So welcome, Elisa, and good to see you here.
Thank you, Hattie. Thank you for inviting me. Really excited to talk to you this morning.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, now, one of the things I always ask all the sponsors, really people and our supporters, is why is it so important for us to have a diverse workforce, and in particular, obviously, increase the numbers of women, and what good work is Mira doing? Because I know you're doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hugely important, not only specifically within, the plumbing trade, where we know there is a huge skill shortage within that industry, but a diverse workforce has so many benefits in lots of different ways, and something that we have certainly identified. And I think we are really focused on driving that diversity, equity, inclusion across all areas of our business. And there are a number of initiatives that we put in place to ensure that actually we're driving that engagement. I think actually at quite a young age as well, encouraging young girls into STEAM subjects, but also into engineering, bringing them on site and talking to them about manufacturing and actually some of the exciting things that they can get to do if they follow a career within engineering and manufacturing. So for us, it's actually one of the key pillars within all of our corporate social responsibility strategies.
There was an interesting word you said there, which is equity, because I think there's a little bit of a miscommunication around those words, isn't there? Because equity and equality, equal up, all that kind of stuff. There's slight confusion, and I think equity really sums up what we're talking about, because equity is about proper equal opportunity, isn't it? It's about seeing somebody where they're at and enabling them to still have the same opportunity, as opposed to everybody just being seen as the same. So it's really important that you said that word, because we're bang on about that all the time.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, actually, back in 2021, we started an initiative which is the National Equality Standards, which is an initiative which was started back in 2012 with the UK government and a number of big corporations driven by Ernst & Young, which was around actually having an independent body come in and measure and assess almost across 35 competencies how we are delivering that diversity, equity, inclusion. And actually we failed in the first round. We did not pass, and I think that was good, because what it allowed us to do is almost look at where we still had work to do across those 35 competencies, really focus on those, and actually we were reassessed last year and we passed because of that. So for us, it's around ensuring that we've got that focus across all of those areas.
Can I thank you actually for saying honestly that you failed at your first assessment? Because I think we all think we should never fail at anything.
Yeah.
And if we don't fail, we can't move forward, can we? So I'm really grateful actually that you said you've told us honestly that when you first did the assessment, you actually failed, and that has driven you to improve and come better. And obviously now you've passed, and that's really good. That's really I'm a bit lost for words, because not a lot of people want to admit that they failed, particularly companies, and I think it's refreshing. So thanks.
I think it's about transparency, Hattie, across all of these things. We know there are things that we can always improve on. As a business, we've been around for 100 years, and I think that's that ethos of constantly improving and doing better, whether that be through our products or actually through some of the initiatives we're doing within the community and within our own associates. That's that constant improvement that we strive to. So absolutely that, that is something that we have to acknowledge, where perhaps we need to work to get to X, Y, Z, but yet we're failing in certain areas and we need to improve.
Yeah, well, how important, can I just ask you, how important do you think something like our event could be for that? Because we were talking just before the recording started, and I just said that it's very kind of an inclusive and interactive event where the sponsors and the delegates will sit in the same room. So how important do you think it is for companies to actually hear from the horse's mouth, as it were, what's going on?
I think it's hugely important. Manufacturers play such a huge part in the industry. I've been with Mira 11 years, so came from kind of an education industry to then manufacturing, hugely male dominated. Even our own gender split within our associates is 70-30. So actually, for us to be able to dispel some of those I guess stereotypes is hugely important. And from my perspective, I look after the brand and communications for Mira. My role, I feel, is to actually be more diverse in some of the creative, be more realistic. So show women in some of my advertising, show female voices when we do radio adverts, some of that. So actually us representing and being able to be part of the event you're holding is really important to show that inclusivity is across the whole industry, not just manufacturing or other areas.
I mean, because we really appreciate that. And one of the other things, I was talking to a colleague of yours yesterday, and he said that you're going to be sending a technical person to the event, and I can tell you she's going to be inundated with questions, because one of the things that women in particular want to know, we want to know how everything works. We actually want to know 100% of everything before we try anything, and that's probably an experience that goes across the board for women entering male-dominated fields, I suppose. So we're going to be very happy to have a technical person there. I might even try and think of some questions myself for her. But
yes,
so
we're sending Melissa, aren't we? So Melissa is.
I think you are sending Melissa.
Yeah, so we have our field service technicians. So we have around 50 of those across the country, and just 2 are women. We would absolutely love to be able to recruit more, and it's not through want of trying. So Melissa has been with us a few years, which is fantastic, and I think she does bring different perspective, and equally, customer perceptions around actually receiving a female field service technician is really important too. So we want more of that. So yeah, I'm really excited actually that Melissa can come along next week.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're just role models. We can't help it. Just because by our mere existence, we become a role model. So you never know, you might find some engineer who's thinking, actually, I might want to do that. I might want to, do one of your trainings about being a field service engineer. You never know. Because women who come to our event are from all age ranges. We go right from trainees right the way up to old hands like myself, and so you never know who you're going to meet. Before we conclude, there's 2 things I'm going to ask you. One is, how can we encourage more women? And the last question will be anything else you want to say. So let's go to the first question first. How can we encourage more women to come into our industry?
That's a great question. I think I read a stat last week around, there are only 1% of plumbers that are females, but actually if you ask females, 22% would be interested. So there's definitely an interest there. There's people, there's women that and girls, I guess, at a younger age that would consider it, but something is stopping them, at some point during that process. So how for us as a manufacturer, we can definitely continue to do those events we've been doing with local schools to encourage that understanding of engineering can be cool, plumbing courses can be cool, and really dispel some of that. And also, like I said, key to my role is just making sure that we're representative in our communications, showing more women normalizing, I guess, some of these jobs that can be done by women, etc. So that is key. And of course, continuing to support you and what you're doing. You know, you've been doing it for so many years now.
Yeah.
And it's how do we ensure that you get that as much exposure, I guess, through us as well.
Yeah. That's really good. I mean, I think the key is to create a world that enables these people to come in,
Right.
rather than just go in there and saying, "Come," because the thing is, the other key thing you said was there's something stopping them, and I guess
Yeah.
if we can identify what is it that's stopping people, then you kind of think, well, let's remove the barriers, and we'll have that influx in an ideal world. So yeah, so following directly on from that, my last question to you is, have you got anything else to impart?
I think you know, just to reiterate, this is something that we are totally committed to as a brand. I think you know, last year we published our first environmental, social and governance report, and within there's a strand around you know, better communities, better workplace. So throughout that whole report, you know, which we'll be publishing every year, we have that real focus on, you know, driving STEAM, driving women in trades, etc. So it's something that this isn't going away. You know, as a
It's
brand,
never
we're
going to go
totally
away.
committed to, and we are going to be holding ourselves to account every year in this report to kind of prove how we're doing things better. So yeah, the more opportunities we can collaborate, the better, Hattie, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and a great note to end on, because collaboration is the way forward, isn't it? Now, so
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you so much. Are you coming to the event?
I'm going to try and come. Yeah. So I've got Dan within my team coming, and obviously Melissa. So we'll be
Yeah,
well covered. But
it, it,
yeah,
it would be amazing if you could come as well. Look forward to it. It's going to be a great event.
it
Thank you
sounds it.
very much.
Thanks, Hattie.